Does anybody out there remember the Carmen Sandiego series? Like, it was a video game, there's a kid's cartoon, and there's like a kid's game show as well back in the day, maybe 30 years ago. If you do, this episode's for you because it's all about travel. So stick around for today's episode of Life's Potluck Buffet. I'm John Paulas. Thanks for joining me. Okay, so as always, I'll ask the cards a question today. And today's question for the cards is, how should I think about my travel itinerary? Okay, so see how the cards do as their own travel agency. A very compact travel agency, I might add. And there are 55 travel agents here, with 3 of them wild cards. And 52 have numbers from 1 to 52. So let's ask these 55 travel agents, how should I think about my travel itinerary? Okay, so I'm going to shuffle the cards as I do in the ritual way that I have learned from that episode on September 8th when the cards revealed their magic. And so I did the 3 times, and I'm going to step away from the microphone so I can shuffle them. Okay. There we go. Now I cut the deck, and we will see. Okay. There were a couple of places where it opened up in terms of, like, there was a gap. And that's where I usually look to see where I should cut the deck, but today I had to choose one, so here we go. Know what you do unconsciously. This is another, like yesterday we had a thing about unconscious thinking, so that's interesting. Consider what choices you make when you are not thinking, when you are simply compelled to make a choice. Start by thinking of a little thing. For example, if you're playing a game and must choose a game piece from a group of different objects, which do you choose? Why? Be honest with yourself and talk to someone else about it. Now think about how this way of choosing applies to big decisions you make. Okay. So, well, these are pretty big decisions we make about our travel itineraries. So, as we plan travel, what should we take into account? Okay. So, I don't know if you remember that episode from several months ago where I talked about card 18, which is this card, Know What You Do Unconsciously. And I talked about game pieces from Monopoly and other related games where, you know, you choose a particular piece, and so forth. But I think that what we're thinking about here is, how do we, what's our style, right? Because that's what that episode was about. And so when you start to think about your travel itinerary, I think that the card is asking us to be aware of what our unconscious kind of style is here. Start by thinking about a little choice that we make. And I think that's an interesting way of thinking about it, because usually, I don't know, when I think about travel itineraries and travel in general, travel planning, I usually start with the big pieces first, I feel like, right? Like, airfare and lodging and things like that are the kind of big pieces I think about. And obviously that's important. But I think the card's asking us to think about a small element of that travel itinerary first, and that knowing that putting that element in place will kind of unlock the other elements. So if you're visiting a place, thinking about one specific thing you want to do while you are in that place, whether it's a leisure activity, a shopping activity, a visiting activity. Obviously, if it's a business, if it's business travel, then obviously you may want to focus that on one meeting that you're having, one visit to a site that you're going to have in the location you're going. But having that be the kind of almost emblem and symbol, like the token you choose in Monopoly, for example, having that be the emblem and symbol of what your itinerary is going to be about. You might even want to, like, if you actually have a paper itinerary that you keep, or a digital one that's just in a document form, say you have like a PDF for your own purposes. And I'm interested to hear what people use for planning travel itineraries in terms of this. Like what do you use? Like, do you use, I am just assuming that a lot of people use their phones and have like stuff on their phone. Some people may do this on a laptop. They might have like a document, but yeah, wherever you um, like carry out the planning, I think once you get to a place, there's probably two options. Either you have it on your phone or a piece of paper, or a tablet, or there's something digital, or something that's a piece of paper. Because I don't know. I would love to hear it if anybody else has something beyond a piece of paper, or like that digital thing that they use. Um, uh, I mean, there might be, for accessibility reasons, a person might have like a recording thing, right? It might have audio recording of this. So that's a third option. But beyond those kinds of technological option or hard copy, so to speak, on paper, I don't know that there's any other, any other choice. If there is, please let me know, because you're probably an artist. If you have something beyond a digital form of your itinerary or a paper form of your itinerary. Some people I may just, not have an itinerary, right? And just kind of like go along and kind of, just wander, right? And wherever they are, and just kind of let the winds take them. That's also a really cool way. I mean, I think if this is a business trip, obviously the business travel, you're probably not going to just wander around town. Unless your business is, I don't know, what kind of business would you have? You need to find out information about how life is lived and wherever you're going, and you just kind of decide to spend, 5 days wandering around and hearing from people about stuff. That could actually be a really good strategy for a very, very specific business travel itinerary. If you had something in mind where you like want to see, like, kind of just be on the ground and see what in that place is going on. Just to say, I'm going to set out every day in a different direction and, talk to people. That's a pretty powerful business itinerary. However, most of us, we have maybe a meeting planned, or maybe we have some, it's probably several meetings planned. And we also probably have visits to places that we're going to see some facility, or we're going to see some new thing that somebody that we do business with, or potentially do business with, wants to show us. So, but focusing that travel itinerary around one thing, one simple thing, one simple way to have your is, I think, the key here. And I think that's what the cards are telling us. And the cards are telling us that will proceed from our kind of like back of our mind thinking that we can put on paper or put in digital form or record or whatever we want to do. Start with that back of the mind thinking about back of the mind, what is the purpose of my trip? If it's a vacation or a leisure trip, understanding that that's your purpose of the trip, and understanding your style in that regard. What is going to make that as satisfying and fulfilling as possible for your needs? What do you need? And then being honest with yourself about that, right? Because sometimes we get into the itinerary trap where we've like planned all these activities and it's hectic and stuff, and it doesn't become a vacation anymore, right? It becomes like the opposite of a vacation. It becomes like, a job. And that's, if it's it's vacation travel, the last thing you want it to be is a job, right? So that's on one side of the spectrum. The other side of the spectrum is if it's a full-on business trip, you're not going to have much time at all for leisure activities, just a little bit here and there. Understanding that visit has to kind of, approaching that differently. How does your business style relate to that, right? So you have a kind of leisure style and you have a business style, and then there are trips in between, which are very common as well, where you have a little bit of a business purpose going somewhere, and you have time to do vacation or leisure purpose. That's very common as well. And so being able to, those are the hardest to plan in a certain way because, you end up having limited time for the fun parts usually, right? And so, figuring out specifically what's one thing that you absolutely, in the back of your mind are like, I need to do this. What is that one thing? And then put that down on your itinerary on whichever day, you need to put it on for your trip, and build out from there. Because that could really give you a good focus as to how to create an itinerary that is going to suit your needs and the needs that you have become aware of now, because you've let the back of your mind think about this, and then you've moved that to the front of your mind, and you're allowing yourself to plan for whatever type of travel you're doing. So let me wish you bon voyage on your trip, and I'll see you when you get back, or tomorrow if you're, if you want to get the, if you get Wi-Fi on the plane or something, you could listen to tomorrow's episode as you're falling asleep in your intercontinental travel. So have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow on Life's Potluck Buffet.